What's up, guys? Welcome back to Act 3. We're going to be reviewing Disclosure Day, new Spielberg movie. The way we're going to run through this, which is probably how we're going to be doing reviews from now on. I believe we started like this, but we'll begin with brief thoughts, kind of non-spoiler, just our general reviews, which will include our rating and just our overall feelings towards the film. And then for quote-unquote spoilers or more just of an in-depth review, we're going to just kind of walk through the movie in sequence and then branch off for our thoughts for each scene. And yeah, that's basically how we're going to do it. So, Drew, do you want to start with your overall thoughts on Disclosure?
Yeah, sure. My expectations were low. I'll admit that. Literally, the only reason that I had any semblance of an interest in watching this movie was because Spielberg. That's literally it. I had seen trailers and promotional material, but none of it really tugged at my heartstrings or interested me in any real way. But it wasn't hard to convince me to watch the movie. I just but it exceeded my expectations, which is good because they were low. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. It was an enjoyable watch. There was a lot of moments that I really liked.
It was enjoyable for better or worse at some points.
Yeah. There were some poor sequences, a lot of dialogue that doesn't trust the audience. A lot of very buzzword type lines as well. But overall, I think the highs were high, the lows were unfortunately pretty low. It was a great movie. What are you looking at right now?
No, I'll get to it.
Okay. My favorite sequence, which we'll get to eventually, but my favorite sequence is easily the train sequence. Literally everything about it. Least favorite is the farmhouse, or specifically when they leave the farmhouse. But I don't know. It's a recommendable watch. I'd sit the family down to crank that one out.
So key a dad movie.
It very much gave dad movie vibes.
Yeah. So the biggest issue with this movie is like it is genuinely at times like Netflix corny, like Netflix movie level corniness. Like the writing is genuinely, there were several points where I was like, I'm just watching a Netflix movie that has an insanely high budget. Like the scenes where, let me make sure, Colin Firth, so he plays the antagonist, where he was like walking around his data center or whatever and just talking to his agent and the military was there. All of those scenes, I was just like, this is just a very high budget because it would go to the computers and it looks really good. But I was like, this is like insane Netflix movie. And it opened with that because the first scene is basically this is where my brain was the entire time. It is a scene straight out of Indiana Jones because it's just these antagonists, you know, in the coats or whatever, are just these agents are looking for what's the name of it whenever it's like a plot device that's like a
gun.
They're looking for the plot device. And
yeah.
And Indiana Jones pulls some shenanigans and he pulls it out. He's like, no, you're gonna let my girlfriend go. And then that happens, and then the antagonist says some aura lines, and then all the people, you know, then there's like then they escape. And so from that moment on, I was like, because I had only seen the trailer like 1 or 2 times, and I didn't realize it was basically like a kind of a spy thriller to a point where
it kind of is, especially in the first act.
It's either running from the government people or the government people are trying to find them. And so it's like espionage basically for the intro, which caught me very off guard. But yeah, the writing was just a little crazy at certain points, but there were several scenes that would just lock in, and I gave it 3.5, 7 out of 10. My expectations were higher, I'll be honest. So maybe, I don't know. I feel like if your expectations were higher, you would have liked it a lot less. Because I was kind of surprised.
Very true. That's very true.
I was kind of surprised with the 7.5, but yeah, it's all right. There's a lot of themes that they just don't explore enough, and a lot of plot lines that they attempt to open, and you really think it's going to go somewhere, and then it just has the like briefest and most nothing conclusion ever, and it's like they literally open this certain thing to close it in the immediate next scene, and it was the word like just no payoff, no anything, especially with the religious stuff and a certain character that is very important and very intriguing for half the movie and then just disappears. And I'm not talking Wyatt Russell, by the way. Spoilers, but whatever.
Love Wyatt Russell.
He was great. Yeah, he was probably the standout of the movie, and really good ending scene. And a huge thing about this movie was they said that they were not showing any of the third act in any promotional. It was like it's never been seen. Just like a lie. Like they just lied. Like there was some stuff I was like, no, I've seen that. Like I don't know why. I don't know why they just lied like that. But yeah, those are kind of my overall thoughts. It's just there's some insane levels of corniness that I did not think were achievable by Steven Spielberg, and a lot of the wonder, like there's moments where you're trying to just supposed to sit there in awe, which is stuff Steven Spielberg is always great at, where you're just looking at the screen, you're like, this is just the craziest thing ever. The John Williams score is going crazy, but I never felt it with this because it didn't seem like the kind of movie that warranted it. Because, like I said, it is like an espionage spy movie, and then there's like some random ET ass scene where it's like, oh my gosh, but it's like this just doesn't feel like I'm watching the same movie, so the charm doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
And it felt like it's aimed towards kids, but the movie's not a kids movie, so
I think that's where the Netflix vibe comes from. Is that it's very dumbed down in a lot of ways, even though it's not a kids movie.
The script is actually insane. I don't think the script writer, and this is what I was looking at. So the script writer, his name is David Coep, and he wrote. I'm going to start with some. He wrote Jurassic Park and the first Mission Impossible, and he wrote Spider-Man 1. Those are all great scripts.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like he got a lobotomy. He wrote the Indiana Jones, the new one. He wrote 4 and 5. He wrote the new Jurassic World movie. He wrote just a bunch of he wrote the Mummy. No, he wrote the Mummy, the Tom Cruise one.
Oh no. Is that 2016?
17. He wrote
17.
Just some hot garbage. Like he just made 3 good movies and then his brain just fell out of his skull or something. It's pretty bad. So yeah, this guy just shouldn't ever write scripts again. They were spoon feeding everything. Like I never felt like I got to have my own thought about the movie. The movie told me how to feel at every moment. It was holding your hand way too much and told you it like I wasn't able to interpret anything. It told me exactly how to feel and what to think about everything that I saw. And that's just not trusting the audience, and that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's run through the plot.
Starting from scene 1. Well, the first thing we see is honestly an incredible way to start this movie with the boxing scene. Very much caught me off guard with it starting like that from what I had seen about this movie with the trailers and just what I knew the movie to be. I thought it was a really solid decision to sort of upend your marketing like that. I think that was really cool. Especially since the cinematography actually was kind of sick in that scene.
Yeah, the one shot where it's like you're in the POV of the person going back and forth, like getting smacked. That was a really good camera work.
That was a cool shot. Now that the first scene does lose a lot of steam pretty fast once you actually leave the boxing arena. You have Josh O'Connor, who is always surrounded by religion and boxing for some reason. But he gets his backpack taken that has someone steals his backpack. He has burner phones in there, right? That's what was in the backpack?
Yeah, but they were looking for
the plot device.
Obelisk looking thing.
The plot device is what we'll colloquially refer to it as. So they apparently have him in some kind of ransom situation where if he gives them the plot device, then he can have his girlfriend back that they're keeping hostage.
MacGuffin, that's the word.
Yes, nice. So they go outside and you meet the big bad, and hilariously enough, you first see him silhouetted from behind, and something about his silhouette reminded me of Mark Ruffalo and Mickey 17, which like put a very interesting taste in my mouth. At least for what I thought the movie was going to be then. But he was much more serious than that. I
He's
thought
a
the
very
writing
goofy
was.
character.
He is a
He
very
is an
goofy
insane
character.
one of the weirdest movie characters I think I've ever seen. Well,
He's
especially
very
like movie
eccentric.
villains. Yeah.
Um,
Very
Go ahead.
just so such an Indiana Jones villain, but like he got so much more screen time. Like he's so weird. His motivations are odd, and I really don't think the performance is like amazing, or it maybe feels like it's just in the wrong movie. It's
I
just
think
for
it's
like a
the
Netflix.
script. I think it's the script.
I
I
think
don't
that's
think his
fair too.
I don't think
But
his performance was necessarily bad. I think he was working with what he had, honestly.
yeah, I think it's just a weird character.
Yeah.
It's so odd. Also, so do they ever mention, because this is like the main thing of the movie, these like devices. Where did they get those? What
Well, okay. I have no idea how they actually obtained them. Well, I guess it would
like
make
why does it,
sense.
there's like three, right?
They have 3 in
That guy has
possession,
one.
but
The
like
guy has one.
when you have the flashback scene when they go to Emily Blunt's character's house and then she goes off and whatever in there in the alien Hansel and Gretel house, which is a crazy sentence to say out loud. Um, the 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 MacGuffins are like in rings. Those are the things that are like in rings around their eyes that like give them
Mhm.
their freaking Jesus powers or whatever. Um, so I assume they just found some of those in their research in the 79 whatever years. Like they don't ever
Yeah.
explain how they actually got them, but
Yeah.
you can make an educated
It
guess.
it literally does anything. Like that device just does whatever the script needs it to.
Yeah.
It's like it just turns people invisible so that they can later have a scene where they sneak out by being invisible, which is a great sequence, but we'll get there. So yeah, they escape, and then this is where you get Jane and you open the what could have been a conversation about religion, but they kind of tied it up for you very annoyingly. And that was really intriguing. So she basically used to be a nun or was in training to be a nun, and then she left. And she says she left because she lost her calling. And then they just never elaborate on what that means. And it turns out she actually did lose her faith, which is what Josh O'Connor asks her. She's like, "Did you lose your faith?" Like, "No, I lost my calling." No, she lost her faith in
Well,
what you find
kind
out to
of.
be in people.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
different.
because she's pretty forthright about the fact that she never stopped believing in God, but that she lost her calling. Um, I obviously wish they would have explained that at all,
Yeah.
but
Just
I
never
feel like it kind of makes sense being a nun being a person in a very like service oriented position. Like losing your faith in people wouldn't necessarily help with wanting to
yeah.
serve them. So I don't know. It seems like she just had. I don't. I don't even know. They didn't explain it well enough.
I think she was the best performance in the whole movie, by the way. She was
She,
great.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the movie should have been about her, or Josh O'Connor should have
That
just
would have
had
been a
her.
much more interesting movie.
Yeah. So in terms of the whole religious aspect, Steven Spielberg said, quote, "It'll make Christians question their beliefs. However, that is a really weird way to say it because in the movie it is pro-religion. It literally explains how you would reconcile aliens with your faith. Like, so he was speaking in the literal sense of, yeah, you might sit there and have a question and then I'll answer it for you. Like you're not walking out of the theater questioning it. It's just
Yeah.
a really weird way to say that. And on one of my TikTok accounts, I'm on Christian TikTok, and people are they're kind of losing their minds over this movie without watching it, saying that it's
Really?
just, one of those demonic movies trying to get you to lose your faith and all that. And, you know, you get it. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't see it. So what the hell are you talking about? They're trying to just distract you, make you think about aliens and try to detract from our faith. And that was a weird thing for Steven Spielberg to say, but that's not what the movie's doing. So
Yeah.
shut up.
I think if you
Anyway,
walk out of Disclosure Day questioning your faith and how aliens relate to it, then you
It's
have
just
a
dumb.
fundamental You watch the movie with your eyes closed. Like
Especially
that's just
that scene where they just explain it.
yes. The scene where she literally calls the nun and is like, "Hey, how do I reconcile this dilemma that the movie is introducing?" She's like, "Oh, here's how."
Yeah. So it's just solved and say, oh, all right.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so then Josh O'Connor and Jane was her name, right? Yeah, Jane. They escape and they find somewhere to stay because they're working with their person in charge, Coleman Domingo. His name's Hugo, and he's basically in charge of the whole system of trying to reveal it, because they want to reveal the aliens, because Josh O'Connor has proof of it on his computer that he stole from his job. And we find out that he is basically marked, like there's a reason he was picked, and it's because he had an interaction with the alien, which we find out whenever the antagonist tries to get into his mind, which he does with Jane, but he can't do it with Josh O'Connor to try to find him because he has encountered an alien. So
yes. David Kilner is his name.
okay. So he does it with Jane, and then Jane basically like resists it, but he kind of finds out where they are, and they send the people, and they maintain one of the best movie lines I've ever heard is they're on their way to the house, and he calls and he goes, maintain maximum legal speed limit.
Maintain maximum legal speed.
Insane sentence.
Why?
Anyway,
What is the point of having that line in the movie? Why would you say that? It also means nothing because you show them going like
they're not going
definitely
the speed limit.
speeding like immediately after that.
It's like this one, like that one annoying person at work was just like, bro, don't speed. It's just so weird. Anyway, so on the other side you have Emily Blunt, and she was also marked as a kid. And so what happens is she sees a cardinal, and basically the cardinals are the aliens' way of activating the thing that they planted him as a kid. So Emily Blunt is just sitting at her kitchen table with her boyfriend, Wyatt Russell, who's like the most entertaining part of this movie. He's just really funny. And the cardinal just jumps in there, looks at her, and then she starts speaking a different language, and she basically gains like knowledge. Like she has discernment about everyone and everything, and she can just speak all kinds of languages.
If she looks at someone, she like experiences what they've experienced.
Yeah.
And like feels it as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, along that note, as soon as she gets this cardinal experience, she heads off to work and gets pulled over by a police officer, who she looks at obviously, and then starts talking about his, I believe, like his home life with his wife.
His wife was mad, and like
yeah, pretty much trying like solving his problems for him with information that she should have no access to. And then instead of doing anything about this at all, he just decides to let her take her license and registration back and just leave.
She kind of drives off while he's still standing there. Like he never said, "Okay, you can go."
She literally has to like reach into his hand and pull his papers out from his hand and then leave.
I'm gonna try.
And he just stands there.
I'm just gonna be like, hey, your wife just needs you to just take her to that restaurant, and then I'm gonna just reach for my license and drive off.
I understand what they were going for with the like, he's so in awe and bewildered at how she would have this information. No human is reacting like that police officer would. Like nobody is reacting like that.
Yeah, which happens a lot. Almost any time that she uses her powers with people, they just sit there in awe instead of actually like having a reaction.
Yeah.
Which she does use to her advantage in a very weird scene that we'll get to.
Yes.
So anyway, she gets to her job, and she's like a news broadcaster, and she goes on there, and then she starts speaking this alien language, which is all Emily Blunt, which is great because apparently Spielberg wanted it to be AI. Either that or actors are just kind of dumb, and Spielberg was like, we'll just do it digitally. And she goes, he wanted to use AI. Anyway, that's her performance. And that aspect is really good. However, I can't get over her American accent and how weird it is. Emily Blunt does not have a good American accent. So if she gets Oscar nominated or wins, I'm going to be a little upset. But it's weird because she has a good performance. It's just her accent. So like, can you call it a good performance?
And I'll say in the like she speaks like what 3 languages other than English in this movie? Because she speaks Russian, Korean.
Yeah.
That might be it actually.
Yeah, it might be it.
But the way she spoke both as a white man who only speaks English sounded good enough to me.
Better than her
Like-
English accent, I think.
Yeah.
Or her American accent. Excuse me.
Her English accent. Given at birth.
Anyway, so then she basically gets hospitalized because she passes out after her using her powers too much.
We get to see Wyatt Russell again.
Yeah. And so she and Wyatt Russell in the hospital, and the antagonist, whose name you said was Daniel Kellner, or wait, no, that's the other guy.
That's the protagonist.
His name was Noah. I'm just calling him Colin Firth. Anyway, so Colin Firth finds out that she's also been marked because she, the video goes viral where she's speaking this language. She's like, all right, go get her. And they try, but then she like has the discernment. She can tell that they're not FBI and that they're just trying to capture her. So she gets Wyatt Russell and they both leave and escape. And then Coleman Domingo calls her because he also saw the video. And so he tells her that she basically has to figure out how to get to him. And he's like, you got it.
Follow your vague inclination.
I don't know why he didn't just tell her where he was.
I think it was a phone tracking thing because they were pretty consistently paranoid about that. So I think it was a safety measure.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of the phone, I want to talk about the decisions that Wyatt Russell's character makes and just how much he goes along with everything she does and the insanity of his decision making. Because like, if you had a spouse that just became schizophrenic and I don't even know, had a stroke pretty much, like they did an MRI and showed that it wasn't actually a stroke, but something akin to it, you're not just gonna listen to what they say. Something is obviously wrong. Obviously, in this instance, since it's a movie,
yeah,
it's because she has alien powers. But like,
the weird part about all of it is it's revealed that he doesn't actually like. He kind of wants them to break up. So if like he was in love with her, I'd be like, okay, but he genuinely
wants her to leave, like
the relationship. So
it's an active dilemma in their. It's an active dilemma in their relationship that she wants to move away, but he wants to stay. And she like looks into his brain and sees that he wants her to leave without him.
Yeah. Because
why are you going along with this? This feels like a golden opportunity.
Yeah, true.
Like,
just let your skit's girlfriend just go. Well, anyway, so she is told that she has to destroy the phone, and a very funny scene where she like throws it out the window. She's like, run over it, and Wyatt Russell like can't do it. So she's like, all right, now do it. And that's
she like puts it right in front of the wheel,
and it starts hailing. He's like, brother shimmy. She's like, no, which is really funny because it's like just the thing that she did on the news.
It's a good callback.
Yeah. Anyway, so meanwhile, so then she gets her the force is telling her she has to go find Josh O'Connor. Yeah. And so anyway, he's on the run with his girlfriend, and so he's going out to the field to call Coleman Domingo and tell him where they are. And then the crop thing happens. What was that? That made no sense. Never went anywhere. Never elaborated on.
Pissed me off a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what like.
Yeah. So the crop fields like form around like alien formation, but like actively as he's standing in the middle of it, and there's no ship. Like it just happened because he realized he had an interaction with aliens because of some thing that he had when he was 10 that he can't remember. And we also know the same about Emily Blunt. Anyway, he and Jane escape in some of the worst like espionage I've ever seen in my life. He is crouching behind a fence that's just 2 rails, and he's making a lot of noise that we also as the audience didn't need to hear. They could have muted all of his heavy breathing, all of the bush stuff, but it just made it more unrealistic for us to like, why would they not see him? He somehow sneaks up like 15 feet away from these people and like gets in their car and just drives through everywhere. And they just didn't turn around the entire time. There's like 30 of them at least.
I think the audio is definitely part of why that scene just hurts so much to watch, because not only do you hear all his hooping and hollering, you also hear the agents like literally on the road like 50 feet away. You hear them talking. You can hear car doors opening and closing. Like they are well within auditory distance. And then like he gets over to. Also, hold on. I just remembered there was a scene like in part of that scene where he like goes back into the field a little bit, and then like shows up back at the fence in the next cut, and that confused me so much. Why did they do that? Yeah, and then he like there's someone in one of the cars towards the back who gets out, so he like falls to the ground really loudly. Again, maybe 15, 20 feet away from him. Just got out of the car. Loud. Like the fence is 2 sticks. Like he's not invisible.
Anyway, he eventually gets in the car, drives away, drives into the house, which is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It was cool.
And gets Jane, who's like in the middle of skitzing out because of the interaction she just had with Colin Firth, who's trying to possess her.
She's still in mind control, I believe, in this moment.
Oh, the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then Colin Firth essentially is in her mind. And so he's trying to, kill Josh O'Connor. Josh O'Connor gets Jane, and eventually he turns around and she's got the knife. And he goes, Jane, no. And so then she stabs her hand, which makes it to where he gets out of her brain.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, he just never goes into her brain ever again.
He does, actually.
When? Well, like he does, but he doesn't like do that like fully. Like he could still just repossess her. Like he could just fully do that.
True. I guess he definitely doesn't take full advantage of the capability that he's been given.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean he has the MacGuffin that literally does anything. So
yeah. Anyway, so then Josh O'Connor and Jane escape to a random motel, and that's where Josh O'Connor kind of explains more about how he had this experience when he was 10, but then whenever he was in college, he like started being able to know, like he got the same powers that Emily Blunt had basically, but for the more mathematical side. And then what?
Wait, hold on. The scene immediately after. Oh wait, yes, sorry, I got confused because the scene in which he explains that to Emily Blunt is right before the whole train sequence.
Yeah,
but he did explain it to Jane in the motel.
Also, I forgot to mention that they drive that car away to a cliff, drive the car off the cliff, which is smart. And so we're like, oh, okay, they're smart. They're escaping. And then it just shows them behind the rock, literally, like you could totally see them. And the rock is
like you could see their heads over the rock, definitely.
The rock is probably like the distance from me to the window. Like if the window are all the agents, imagine I'm hiding behind the chair and I'm just going like this. And then they just walk away into the woods and escape.
Again,
just so
very noisily. Very noisily.
Make a lot of noise. Yeah. And it's just insane that there's like moments like that in a movie like this, where they're trying to be very realistic and serious. But anyway, they escape. Meanwhile, Emily Blunt leaves her boyfriend because, she's doing her own thing. Fair enough. And then Josh O'Connor gives Jane the little obelisk and tells her to escape, and he gets captured. And then Emily Blunt eventually finds him. Like she just goes into the bad guy's thing, and then he just walks up to Josh O'Connor, and Josh O'Connor is like, I've seen you before. And originally that was dumb because he had literally seen the news broadcast. So I'm kind of sitting there going, yeah, you have.
I mean, we watched her.
And if you knew her from somewhere else, why didn't you notice when you saw the freaking thing? But whatever. Anyway, so she gets in Josh O'Connor's mind and they realize that they know each other. And so she's like, I need to get him out of here. And we got to go to Coleman Domingo. So she just looks at everybody and shows them their loved one. And that is enough to like completely floor every single person, like this entire agency.
They just walk out.
This entire agency trying to capture her, and they just walk past everybody, and everyone just.
And this is the first scene where like you really get confused about the motives of Colin Firth, because when she first walks in, she appears as his presumably late wife. I don't know if she's actually dead. But so she just walks in, again, military installation, and is talking to him, who he should absolutely like. I don't understand. They don't explain what's going on. Like he knows that it's not really his wife.
Yeah, that's the thing I was gonna say about all of this is all these people, whatever they're seeing, they know that she has powers and she's just doing that, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And also a lot of them, it's not like dead spouses, because sure, that could trip a lot of people up if your dead spouse is just staring at you all of a sudden. But
It's like,
there's one where she goes to this girl and she's like her daughter, and she's like, let's go camping this weekend. And that's enough to make someone just
oh,
to not capture this person that they are employed and are an agent specifically hired to capture. And all these agents have to be like competent and smart to get in a position of that level of discretion for alien stuff. Like, these aren't just random people. Like, this is their entire job, was to get to capture this girl. And they're just, my daughter camping, and they just stare and they just walk through everybody and drive away.
yeah.
And it's crazy. So then the good guys find them in the fire truck, and they all get to where Coleman Domingo has recreated Emily Blunt's childhood home, where she had the
Well,
experience.
hold on.
Oh,
The train scene is before this. Yes, they drive away. They're talking about their experiences, how they know each other, their experiences with the cardinal. They get stopped at a railroad crossing. And okay, actually, hold on. Let's back up slightly, because the scene in the trailer in the military installation, Colin Firth's character has like a right-hand man who is probably the biggest rage bait, in any movie of the year, probably. Maybe save the dude in Obsession who wished for $1 million. That might be a little more rage bait, but this dude is more consistent. So he like drives up behind them and starts pushing them into the train. And she's Emily Blunt's character is the one driving, so she's obviously stepping on the brakes and decides not to put the car in park so they can get out, but instead decides to just keep her feet on the brake, so she has to stay there and cause conflict. They get shoved like under the train in an incredibly realistic shot. Like, it looks so good. Really good. It looks incredible. So you have a scene of Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt. Like, they kick out the windshield and are like trying to climb from the hood of the car onto the train while it's stuck between the wheel and the track. And then Rage Bait Right Hand Man is like shooting at them from the access road on the side. So they eventually get to safety, make it inside one of the cars, and you have an incredible depiction of a panic attack. Like, it's an incredible scene. Because whenever Emily Blunt's character is first hospitalized, she has a discussion with this doctor about the fact that her father had Parkinson's and how that could be related to her schizophrenic activities somehow. So she, actively having a panic attack, has very shaky hands and is like connecting that to her father's Parkinson's because she can't control it and he never could control it. And she's in this very downward spiral. And Josh O'Connor's character calms her down and like puts her hands on the strings of an upright piano, which I think was really cool.
Yeah,
that was just fire.
I love that.
I think it was a great way to shed some light into Emily Blunt's characters. I think it was beautiful for making these characters feel more human in an incredibly stressful situation where 9 times out of 10, a real person is having a panic attack if something like that happens to them. It brought those two characters together in a very organic way, and just sort of created more cohesion for them actually acting together. I liked that scene a lot.
That was a good connecting scene with both of them. Mm-hmm. My only nitpick about the train sequence is the tension comes. So the car is stuck under the train, and the tension comes when another train is going at them. However, the tension should come from the fact that at any moment the car could fly out and should have flown out. There's no way that a car stays under train for like 10 miles. So then it gets flung, and she jumps on and grabs Josh O'Connor's hand, and they escape like at the last second before the other train hits. But I kept sitting there thinking, like, that's a little much. The intensity should have just come from the car having been able to flown off at any second. But yeah, the panic attack sequence is amazing. Probably the best panic attack. It clears the Puss in Boots one that everyone glazes.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's a huge talking point. So like people joke about that. So I kept thinking about that. Also, I had a dream the night before we saw that movie where I was driving like a sports car and I couldn't hit the brakes. Like I would be slamming on the brakes to the point where I was pulling the underside of the steering wheel, like pulling my entire body to the floor, and it wasn't like stopping fast enough. And it was terrifying. And that dream went on for like an hour. And
Ugh.
it was just all these driving. And every time I tried to park, and it's not like I was driving like 60 miles an hour and was about to crash and die. It's just that I was driving and in the dream it was like my dad's car. And I didn't
Yeah.
want to wreck it. It's a nice car. I didn't want to
Yeah.
wreck it. And I would be parking and I would be like pulling as hard as I can, and the car would just keep going into another
Yo,
car.
that's crazy that it was your dad's car because the car in the movie is also an Alfa Romeo.
That is true, actually, now that I think
I didn't
about
even
it. But
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, it sucked. I was slamming on the brakes, pulling, and the car just would not stop like enough. It sucked. So it was kind of skitzing me out a little bit. I was terrified. And then I
For
had a real panic attack as Emily Blunt did, and then Josh O'Connor calmed me down
Oh, really?
from the movie screen.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, he's great.
I think to your point about the oncoming train versus the car flying out, I think from an audience perspective, that's a lot more it's a lot more forgivable because like if you have the car fly out, then it's gonna fly out right whenever they make it to safety. And that feels
Yeah.
cheap-ish, at least to me. Whereas you have a more solid threat with the oncoming train, a lot clear. I do agree that just having the car is enough, and I probably also would have preferred it. But like I see the
Yeah.
vision. I see the vision for the train. I think it's not a bad decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad because it adds. I just kept sitting there thinking, like, if the car had been slowly coming off the entire time, that would have been more intense. But
That would have been sure. Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with that.
Anyway, so then they get to where Coleman Domingo has been making Emily Blunt's childhood home so that she can basically get in the mindset of her as a kid to recollect to the best of her memory the encounter that she and Josh O'Connor had with aliens. And she has this scene. This was another like absurdly bad scene where she freaks out in front of everybody. And it's so weird because not because of the fact that she was freaking out, like that's super normal. It's the fact that all of the like, the scene in Superman where he's like, I get scared. That was the vibe, the way it was shot, the music was scoring. It was like supposed to be this huge, like epic scene, and instead it should have just been a bunch of close-ups of her freaking out. But it was like literally playing like some dramatic climactic, like it was just so odd. I just couldn't get out of my brain that it was shot and sound the score was the exact same as like a kind of scene that is supposed to be at the end where it's like resolves everything, and
Yeah.
did not reflect her like having like another freak out. It was just so weird. And then that one person just bows down to her whatever to because she wants to be her religion or whatever, which
Yeah.
at first I was like, well, yes, I guess some people would think that way. Not the people that are in this scenario who know what Emily Blunt can do and are trying to get her for this. Like, it's like they treat every interaction with these agents as if they're just normal people, but they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't react that way. Anyway, she agrees to sit down and recreate the thing. So she and Josh O'Connor hold their little obelisk thing, and so what happened as a kid was the aliens came into her room as these terrible CGI, by the way, horrible.
Yeah,
CGI.
it was really bad.
Animals, and they take her through the woods, and it's like warm snow because the aliens were trying to just calm her down for whatever reason, and they take her to the house that is Hansel and Gretel. But that is not a calming story. That is a story in which a kid gets lured in there and gets killed.
Fattened up and eaten by a witch.
So I don't know why that would calm anyone down.
Yeah.
And it was just so odd. The snow scene, and it was in that entire sequence is CGI, and it looks like a scene out of Polar Express. It looks bad.
I was actually thinking that in the theater. It was relating to Polar Express in my brain.
Partially because of the snow, but also just because it's clearly animated and it just looks dumb. Have
Yeah.
you seen the AI Coca-Cola ad?
I feel like maybe.
Look that up real quick while I'm explaining it. So it felt exactly like that. Like it just looked terribly animated, and obviously this isn't a live action movie, it just felt weird. And the Christmas Coca-Cola ad, where it's like a famously AI generated terrible ad, it looked exactly like that and gave the exact same vibes. And it sucked. And that's another scene that I was referring to with my original thoughts, where it's like you're supposed to be getting this feeling of whimsy and wonder, but you don't feel that at all because it's in such a realistic movie. Where I'm like, I've been in this spy thriller for the last like 2 hours, and now I'm supposed to be in this like Wonderland, like
Ew.
ET vibe, and I didn't feel that at all. It just felt very out of place. But what happened was she and Josh O'Connor get lured. We're both lured in there. Josh O'Connor, we didn't see him getting lured in there, but when they were kids, and then they basically were done. That's when they got the mark to where the Cardinal came in later and activated them. So she and Josh O'Connor got that like they were planted or whatever you want to say, with a bunch of stuff. And then later in life, the Cardinal came and did whatever. But the aliens were using them to communicate a message. And so then at the end, they turn the house invisible because the people pull up, the Colin Firth and all his agents. And in a really good scene, they turn everything invisible. And so the people are kind of just walking in this giant warehouse, and then they just hit the window, and it's cool. But the best part is when they all get in a fire truck and have no idea what's happening. And then the fire truck just turns on, and then
They turn on the sirens.
yeah. And then
It's
there's
so tough.
invisible cars driving, and it's like, it had just rained. So like you get to
You
see
can
the
see the
effects on
water. It looks so
yeah,
good.
it looked great. That was a really cool sequence. But anyway, they get to the news station, and meanwhile, Jane has the other obelisk, and she then makes her way there on her own and gets no screens. Like she's just out of the movie for the entire second half, even though she was like extremely important and interesting. But yeah, she eventually just goes across the country, I guess, like on her own, just somehow manages to get there. And so they're getting set up to show the world the alien stuff. And meanwhile,
Yes.
Coleman DeBringo is bringing in an actual alien. So Josh O'Connor's scanning all the stuff. Meanwhile, the government is trying to shut down the power, and they go for the backup power, which is smart. And then they successfully do that as she's about to broadcast everything that Josh O'Connor uploaded, all the alien evidence. And then Jane comes in, just kind of walks through everybody.
And yeah, she actively like shoves past a security guard as if it's not his job to keep her behind that line.
But not even in like a action way. She just literally
she just shoulders past him,
walks past everybody, and just hands Emily Blunt the obelisk thing so that she can turn the power back on. And at this point, Colin Firth just kind of just sits back. And we had seen a scene with him and Coleman Domingo, which we forgot to explain, where Coleman Domingo is like, no, people deserve to know the truth. And he's like, no.
And
eventually
and there's a whole there's a whole like theme of the movie is that the world is crumbling and that this information would destroy it even further. We get like no context on what's happening to the world that is putting it in such disarray.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. It's like in the beginning of Deathly Hallows Part 1, where you see that the world is going to shit, but we know why. Except it's like without that.
Yeah.
It's just the world is going to hell for no reason.
Yeah. There's no explanation. So there's that plus
gas station.
Like the truth belongs to the people is very common rhetoric for the good guys, is that it's not anyone's to decide what happens with it. It is the right of the people to know the truth. So I think they set up the two ideas fairly well, other than the fact that we don't know why the world is bad. Assuming the world is bad, that stance makes sense.
Yeah,
I guess. I still don't understand. We really don't get any personal motivation for Colin Firth's character. It's all he just represents the idea.
Yeah.
He is nothing more than that. So seeing him give up at the end, like if he had any semblance of a personal motivation, seeing him give that up and have character growth throughout the movie would have made sense. But since all he was an idea, it made no sense for him to just decide to give up. Like he's giving up his entire, like everything that he is, he's putting on the table because the audience doesn't get anything more.
And not only that, but all of his agents who were going along with him the entire time, and we never saw any motivation for any one of them to want like we assume that he has to say, like, he never argues with them. Like, his agents are never like, no, they kind of do deserve to know the truth. They all just kind of sit there and like, sir. He's like, no. They're like, oh, all
Okay.
right. Like, are you really just like an employee this entire time?
Not paid enough for this.
Yeah, it's so weird. So then Jane and Josh O'Connor have no scenes. They don't even interact once. The love of his life has come back, and she saves everything, and he doesn't react at all. He just keeps hanging out with Emily Blunt.
I forget they have the scene in the monastery where he's like waking up in the morning to leave, and he's like, I'll come find you. When all this is blown over, I'll come find you. And yes, she does end up getting in the car and going. But I find it hilarious how little emphasis is put on their reunion. Because they just kind of are standing next to each other in the last scene, and that's the most the audience gets.
Yeah, which is crazy because not only is she just back, but she literally saved the entire operation. Like, she's the reason that they're actually still able to do it. He doesn't even say thank you. He doesn't go, "Oh my God, you saved us." He just no reaction. Like, damn.
Light work.
Jane did all that work. Like, you brought this poor girl into this entire situation, and she almost got like shot and killed multiple times, and she travels across the country and saves the entire, movie, and then he doesn't even talk to her. That's so odd. But then Emily Blunt goes on TV, and so you get a scene where after Josh O'Connor uploaded all the alien stuff, they expose it to the world. You get all the different news stations that are showing it. And that's a pretty good sequence. Like, it just cuts back and forth from this guy in the news station, and so it shows all the different screens, and you get all the different footage. And I do like how much it showed everyone in the world. Like, it showed people in New York City, everyone was watching it. People just across the planet, everyone was tuned in to like the same thing. It was like the conversation we had when we were like, has anyone ever, like, the Fortnite thing, where it's like, has anyone ever done more than play Fortnite whenever there were 40 million active players?
Oh yeah.
This day. So that was like the most the world has collectively done anything, probably, was they were all looking at the screens, and it was cool. So it showed the alien stuff, the stuff that was hard to watch with the alien corpses and all that. And that was a good sequence. I really liked that.
Yeah, I thought that was really solid.
Yeah, it was great. And then at the end, they bring out an old alien.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like leans over, and then it tells something to Josh O'Connor, who then tells Emily Blunt. And so then she goes up, the entire world sees the aliens and everything. And so they're like, what's he going to say? And then she's like communicating it, and she just says, listen, and then the movie ends. And I think that's a really good decision. I thought that was a great way to end the movie.
I thought that was fantastic. It is an ending line that is good enough for me to remember it. I don't think there are any movies in recent memory where I was like, I remembered the ending line actively for multiple days past having seen it.
Yeah, that was a really good scene. And I feel like I really have no idea what the alien would even like be attempting to communicate, because we just showed that it had been its species or whatever, or species like it had
mistreated.
Yeah. So it's like Coleman Domingo brought out the alien. Coleman Domingo, if you will.
Coleman Domingo, yeah.
Brought out the alien just for the alien to like be like, we're invading your planet, fuck y'all. And something, and he's probably like, oh shit.
Okay, I mean,
like, I think that would have been I think that, now that I think about it, that would have been a funnier ending. Is the alien's like, we're coming for you. Then it shows like an entire armada like jumping out of light speed or whatever. And then so Coleman Domingo's just like, and then the movie ends.
That would have been peak.
That would have been a lot funnier, but
absolute cinema.
It liked the ending. And then side note, as we walked out of the theater, everyone was crowded around a TV, and we thought,
yeah, the NBA finals were going on. There was 9 seconds left in Game 5, so there was like a horde of people standing still watching one TV, perfectly mimicking the end of the movie.
Yeah, so we thought there may have been aliens, but no, it was just
basketball.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
So that is our review of Disclosure Day. Next video will probably be wrapping up the Super Smash Bros. Tier list, so make sure to follow the Instagram. It's up there. Follow the TikTok. It's up there. Hit subscribe. It should be somewhere down there. And thanks for watching.
See y'all.
Goodbye.